You are listening to the Cambridge Insider Podcast. On this episode, hosts Mariah and Stephen discuss post-graduation F-1 and OPT visa extensions the U.S. are now offering to international students. Take a listen.
Cambridge Insider Podcast time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cambridge Insider Podcast. As per usual, my co-host this afternoon, Mariah Thompson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone. It is good to be back.
It is good to be back. And I'm excited because today we do a little bit of a feel-good episode, for lack of a better description, which is nice because I feel like it's summer. I feel like as an industry, we've been through quite a lot the past couple of years and couple of months, but we've managed to come out the other side, and there's a lot of positives coming out of that. So I'm just excited to sort of share some good news and make this a feel-good episode. What do you think, Mariah?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome. So we're going to be dealing specifically, a large portion of our listeners, are students who are looking to come to the US, either at the high school level, but recently also we have a lot of listeners that are looking for tertiary education, looking to come to a university in the United States. And we wanted to just share some good news about that process, where we stand in the US with regards to that. I think, and I'm going to kick us straight off into the discussion here, but I think one of the big changes that we've seen recently, and not to get too technical about all of these things, but a big draw for students to come to the US is what they call OPT, or optional practical training. I hope I got that right. If I didn't, don't send nasty emails. But OPT basically allows students that have graduated, that are here on an F-1 visa, that have graduated university, to be able to work in the United States post-graduation. It's a program that allows, or that draws, I think, and motivates many students to come to the US, specifically because it does give you that window to be able to find employment and work. I know that many US companies are big supporters of the program because they get to employ wonderful, talented young students that have a wealth of knowledge. It certainly, on the economic side, certainly does help the US economy as well, in terms of gaining that knowledge and getting these wonderful people employed in the US. But as mentioned, I think anybody that goes abroad wants to study. They want to be able to continue often that journey in that country, and OPT allows them to do that. It did go through a couple of years with the previous administration where a lot of that was up in the air. A couple of things were changed around it, but from our sources and what we've read up and what we've heard, a lot of that is back to normal. Mariah, your thoughts on OPT and your thoughts about that in general? I love it. I love the idea of it. I think it makes complete sense on every level. Just your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously it's exciting news. So reading through all the different options they have for students that are looking into this OPT, it was just cool to see the strides that they're taking to move forward to make us more a collaborative world. So it was also cool to see all the different, it's like a package, but it's like if you're in a different department, if you're a STEM OPT. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? If there are students that are in a certain area of field, what that means for them?
Sure, absolutely. And I think, I think that allows students, specifically as with the rest of the world, in the United States specifically, they are looking to emphasize and push people into those STEM careers, right? A lot of the jobs that are available, a lot of how the economy is growing is really in that technology, science, economic, mathematics field. And I think there's a lot of preferences, I suppose, given to students that are graduating in those fields, and there are a lot of opportunities for them to be able to become employed within the OPT program within those STEM fields. I think it's a win-win, specifically because many of the students that we do get from across the world are really looking at the US as one of the leaders of STEM education at the tertiary level. The universities across the country, rank highly every single year when they do look at rankings, but specifically they rank highly as well within that STEM field. So it certainly is a draw, and I know many of our students abroad, as I've mentioned, are looking for degrees and looking to further themselves within those fields. So the fact that there's preference given to some OPTs within the STEM field, I think is wonderful news as well.
Yeah, It's really cool. It's really great. And being on this side of things, I see some of our new followers and people that subscribe, and I can see what they're into. So I feel like this is definitely right in the spot of our followers, so they can get plugged in this way, and we have a good resource for them.
Absolutely. What we're going to do is we are going to put a couple of those articles that we are referencing that we've just read through up on our show notes. So feel free to have a read about them if you don't know what OPT is about. If you're maybe wondering about where I should pursue, my tertiary education, if you are looking abroad, the United States remains, in my mind at least, the number one place to come. I think many of the challenges that we've seen in the past couple of years that halted students from coming or wanting to come to the US have really fallen away. I think the US is also at a crossroads where, and many of the listeners on this, podcast as well are colleges and teachers and professors. And administration within those institutions. I think we're at a crossroads where many of those institutions, both at a high school and a tertiary level, are looking for international students. We discussed that in a previous episode with regards to birth rates. There's going to be, I feel like there's this meeting of students that are really excited to come to the US again, something that we've been lacking maybe for a couple of years, and institutions really excited about getting those students. So I think it's a win-win situation on so many levels, and we're excited to see what happens. We're big proponents of international education, global education, making this global education accessible to students, and that's part of what this podcast does. So we're excited about that. Mariah, just your sort of final thoughts on, the US as a destination. And I ask you specifically as I'm an immigrant. I've been here for a couple of years, but I've sort of have a little bit of a different perspective. I think, I'm very fond of the United States. I'm a big supporter of the country. That often is the case when you do come here and you experience the wonderful opportunities that the US offers. Your sort of experience of that, and maybe some thoughts that you'd like to share about the US becoming that destination again?
Yeah. I'm someone who I have my bachelor's and my master's degree, and then I've gotten right into the workforce. And being American, being here, getting that education here, I have a little bit of experience of what that process looked like. So having this opportunity for people to come over and to experience that, obviously my bachelor's degree, you're getting an education in so many different spheres. You have so many classes you have to take, and then you get into your grad program, and it's really narrowed down, and it's all about what you love to do and how you want to learn and grow. And then you're surrounded by educators that also just want you to learn and grow, and to see you thrive. And then going into the workforce, everyone kind of knows where you're at from being just a grad student, and the workforce sets you up to just learn and to grow even more. So having this next level of OPT to then go out into the workforce here in America as well is just another great learning experience, because it takes everything that you learn in the classroom now out in the real world, but it's also like another classroom, because just the workforce people here, when you're in a great company, they really set you up for that. So I think overall this is just solid learning process that happens here in America, and now it's open for a lot of people to experience it as well.
Absolutely. The final thing that I will say for students specifically, perhaps looking at international education, looking at university options, the US by far outnumbers any other comparable first world destination in terms of the number of higher learning institutions by far, and we can share those stats. I think we have some information on that. We've at least got a slide on it that I know that we've spoken about, Mariah. But not only does it have an incredible number of learning institutions, the great thing about the US is that there are so many high quality learning institutions. Yeah. The difference between, and this is a fact across the board, whether people would want to sort of argue otherwise, the stats show us that the difference between the number one ranked university in the US and the number 49th or 79th ranked university in the US is very, very small. That is a fact. The Princetons and the Harvards, amazing learning institutions, but you get schools ranked at number 60, number 70, number 80 in this country that are incredible learning institutions. So there's a large number of options to choose from for students. Yeah. Not everybody has to go to Harvard. There's a best fit out there in the US provides the opportunity to find your niche, find that specific university that caters to what you need and what you want as a student. So there's certainly a great number of options. I always say this to our students, but part of the podcast is for us to help educate you and help you understand what's happening, and for our schools and our officials as well. If you have questions, if you want to know a little bit more, if you just want to be pointed in the right direction, feel free to reach out. Drop us a note, drop us an email, drop us a comment, and we can certainly deal with that. So we appreciate you all, being along for this ride. Mariah, any final thoughts on this feel-good episode?
No final thoughts, and just excited to see where all these opportunities lead.
Absolutely. Awesome to have you all along with us. We hope you're enjoying your summer. As always, remember to reach out. Remember to check the show notes. We're going to put a lot of resources up there for you. And we'll catch you around the next episode of the Cambridge Insider Podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Cambridge Insider Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. For more Cambridge updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Have a great week and stay connected.